You ever roll up to your own grandpa's cabin expecting to drop off some flowers, or maybe just sit on the porch and remember the man for a minute, only to get ambushed by a herd of country club Karens and some lady in a fuchsia suit shouting that your family home is a disgrace to our community? Because that's exactly how my summer kicked off, and I swear the scene was straight out of a dark comedy. No joke. Madison Turner, Queen Bee of Willowbrook Estates, was standing on the clubhouse steps, her voice slicing through the morning like a chainsaw through soft pine. 200 residents behind her, all glaring at my beat-up Honda Civic like it had leaked oil on their imported driveway pavers. She clicked down the steps in those designer heels, waving a stack of HOA violations at me like she was serving a death sentence. You fix that eyesore in 60 days or we'll fine you into bankruptcy. And you know she said it with a smile, one of those "I'm just doing my job" smiles that really means "you're dead to me, pal." Here's the thing, though. Madison thought I was just some broke nobody, some loser who'd inherited a junky cabin. If only she knew who she was actually dealing with. Let me back up a sec. 3 weeks before I'd been Connor Blake Silicon Valley tech guy, $40 million net worth debugging code from my penthouse Harvard Law diploma collecting dust on the wall. Empire on autopilot. Then Grandpa Henry passed and my whole world spun sideways. He left me 1,000 acres, a rundown cabin, and a cryptic note. They think they own our land. Prove them wrong. And buddy, I was ready to do exactly that. See, every detail was calculated: the Civic, the threadbare flannel, the battered work boots. I bought that car from a Detroit junkyard for $800, and let me tell you, it smelled like regret and cigarettes. All of it just bait for the HOA trap. Madison put on a public shaming with her pack of country club hyenas, thinking I'd fold. I just played along, looking like I was one overdue bill away from moving into the Civic. "I'm really trying here," I told her, voice shaking just enough. "Money's tight. Still figuring out what Grandpa left me. You should have seen their faces, some smug, some fake sympathetic, protecting property values my foot. What they didn't know was I'd been elbows deep in county archives for weeks, digging through old property records like a bloodhound. What I found floored me. Turns out the entire HOA was built on a lease that expired in 2020. No renewal paperwork, no real agreements, just a handshake deal between Grandpa and Madison. She'd been running Willowbrook like her own little kingdom ever since. 200 families all paying her dues for land they didn't actually own. The whole operation was a castle made of sand. But Madison didn't have a clue. She handed me a welcome package full of rules, fines, and forms. 47 pages, weighed 2 pounds easy. $150 monthly fees, architectural review charges, penalties for breathing wrong. The section on mailbox color alone ran 4 pages. "Maybe we can work out a payment plan," I asked, flipping through the stack, looking properly terrified. She patted my hand, oozing fake empathy. Of course, we're reasonable with residents facing challenges, but you could see the satisfaction in her eyes. She thought I was lunch. Once I got out of sight, I called Dorothy Thompson at Sunset Manor. Grandpa's note had said she'd know about the papers. Dorothy's 84, sharp as a tack and twice as dangerous as she looks. He said to tell you about the missing papers Madison thinks she destroyed. She said, practically winking. But Henry kept copies. Somewhere safe. Sure enough, I found a fireproof box behind a loose board in the closet. 3 years of letters, lease drafts, legal consultations. Grandpa's handwritten notes about Madison's verbal agreement. She'd been stringing him along, hoping to trap his heirs once he was gone. I rang up George Miller, Grandpa's old lawyer. He confirmed it: no lease renewal, no legal standing. Madison's empire was at my mercy. "What are you planning?" he asked. "Let her show her true colors," I said. "Then we'll see how much fun she has when the law comes calling." But Madison wasn't done. Next thing I know, there's a surveillance camera on the pole across the street, blinking red pointed straight at the cabin. More violation notices start piling up. Mailbox too high, grass too tall, peeling paint. $2,500 in fines in 2 weeks, each one delivered with all the joy of a tax auditor at Christmas. I sat at Grandpa's old table pretending to do the math, looking like a man circling the drain. Madison was ramping up the pressure classic squeeze play. That's when she called. Connor just checking in. Adjusting to Willowbrook can be so overwhelming. She offered a payment meeting, set it up for 9 a.m. sharp at the clubhouse. I showed up with a folder of fake pay stubs and past due bills, looking like I hadn't slept in a month. Madison kept me waiting 45 minutes, her power move. When she finally called me in, it was with her 3 board member bulldogs. They spelled it out, maybe this isn't the right community for someone in your situation. The mask had dropped. They wanted me gone. But here's the twist, they thought they were the sharks. They had no idea I was about to drain their whole pond. That night I used my old cybersecurity tricks to crack their HOA email system. Turns out the password was literally Willowbrook T3 on a sticky note. Rookie move. What I found was a goldmine Madison plotting to push out undesirable residents' emails about targeting Dorothy's strategies for economic pressure campaigns. I printed it all. I built a file the FBI would drool over. Next day, more violations, more threats. I called Madison this time, letting a little anger slip in just enough. I got your letter about immediate payment. I don't have $2,500. Can we work something out? She didn't miss a beat. If you're willing to consider selling, we could waive the fines. We have investors who can help you transition. Translation, sell to us for pennies, or we'll break you. She'd pulled that move on Dorothy too, but this time she'd misjudged her mark. That's when I made my move. An anonymous call to Marcus Carter County Reporter. Someone leaked HOA email suggested he look into patterns of selective enforcement. Madison thought she was closing her trap. I was springing mine. Every move she made calls threats. Even the surveillance footage went into my evidence vault. And right on cue, she escalated. Garbage dumped on my porch, then a violation for improper waste management. Mailbox vandalized, then a fine for damaged community fixtures. Each hit was timed to create a record, but my own security cameras caught everything. 4 days in, I got an anonymous note. Accidents happen to people who don't belong. Classic intimidation. I logged it, dusted it for prints, added it to the pile. The next HOA meeting was supposed to be my execution. Madison rallied the crowd, blamed recent disturbances on a single resident, didn't say my name, but everyone stared. That's when the plot really twisted. Mrs. Henderson, old school, sharp as a whip, stood up and called her out. Are we really going to harass Henry Blake's grandson out of his home? Murmurs of agreement. Dorothy rolled in eyes, blazing, and laid out her story. Every violation, every harassment, every dollar lost. The room turned. Madison tried to recover, said it was all procedure. But Dorothy looked right at me. Show them the papers, Connor. It wasn't part of my plan, but I saw my shot. I stood up, pulled out Grandpa's deeds and the expired lease. Henry Blake owned every inch of Willowbrook. The HOA lease expired. You've been paying fees to Madison with no legal authority. The place exploded, people shouting, panicking, demanding lawyers. Madison's face went from smug to stone-cold panic. She stammered about proper documentation. I told them, you have nothing but a handshake and a lot of nerve. Outside in the chaos, I spotted 2 men sneaking toward my cabin. Madison's goons trying to break in or plant evidence. But every inch of that cabin was wired for video, and I'd already notified the cops. 15 minutes later, sirens, 2 thugs in cuffs, phones full of texts, linking them right back to Madison. She'd crossed from petty tyranny to straight-up crime. The audit came up next, $380,000 in missing funds. Madison's house in foreclosure, her credit maxed, and federal agents circling. She was drowning, and desperate people do dumb things. She tried to hire an arsonist, $5,000 for a cabin fire. But I'd been watching the whole time, working with the fire chief cameras everywhere. The sting worked. The arsonist showed up, started the fire, and got surrounded before he hit the tree line. He'd even recorded his calls with Madison Insurance, he said. It was all over. The FBI swept in. Madison, her husband, 3 board members, all arrested for conspiracy, embezzlement, attempted murder. National news called it HOA terrorism. Residents finally saw the monster for what she was. That's the real moral here, right? The people who look the most in control, the ones barking orders and hiding behind rules, can be running the biggest scams. And sometimes it takes someone pretending to be powerless to make the powerful show their true colors. By the time I revealed my real self, Harvard Law Tech fortune legal owner of every square inch, people's jaws hit the floor. I laid it out. I could evict everyone tomorrow, but I won't. You'll get fair leases, real protections. But the days of bullies running this place are over. The crowd broke into applause. Dorothy squeezed my hand. Your grandfather would be proud. Madison got 15 years in federal prison, no parole before 12, all assets seized, banned for life from HOAs. The Willowbrook Act passed, setting new standards for every HOA in the country. The Dorothy Thompson Center for Community Justice opened, helping other victims fight back. Property values soared. The real victory, a neighborhood that actually started acting like one. No more exclusion, no more fear. Now, 5 years later, Willowbrook's a model internationally recognized for community democracy. Dorothy's flowers bloom in the garden. My own kids play under the oaks Grandpa planted. Sometimes I get letters even from Madison herself, finally realizing the harm she caused. So here's what I ask you. Where do you draw the line between justice and revenge? How do you rebuild trust when power's been abused? Drop your thoughts below. And if you've ever been chewed up by a petty HOA, or heck, if you're on the board and trying to do right, share your story. We've all got a little Willowbrook in us somewhere. Let's talk about what it really means to belong.